The old satellite spun slowly in the darkness of space, its metal body scarred by 200 years of cosmic dust and radiation. Defense Station Alpha 7 had been humanity's first line of protection against unknown threats since the year 2087. Its computers worked day and night, scanning for dangerous signals from the vast emptiness between stars. The machine was old, but it still did its job with perfect dedication. Another signal appeared on the satellite's sensors. The transmission came from somewhere near the Centauri system, broadcasting on frequencies that the old computer had learned to fear. The message contained complex patterns and mathematical sequences that looked exactly like the invasion codes the satellite had been programmed to stop. Without hesitation, the ancient defense system charged its particle cannon and fired a brilliant beam of energy into space. The alien message vanished in a flash of light, destroyed before it could reach Earth. Far below on the planet's surface, Admiral Hyunwoo Park stood in the underground command center known as Terra Base. The massive facility stretched for miles beneath the mountains of South Korea, hidden from any eyes that might be watching from above. Thousands of people worked in the bright corridors, building weapons and ships that no other world had ever seen. The admiral was a tall man with gray hair and serious eyes that had seen too many sleepless nights. He studied the holographic displays that showed Earth's secret fleet growing stronger every day. Dr. So-Young Kim walked into the command center, carrying a tablet filled with data. She was the best language expert on Earth, a woman who could decode any pattern of communication given enough time. Her black hair was pulled back in a simple style, and her face showed the tiredness of someone who had been working for many hours. She approached the admiral with news that would change everything, though neither of them knew it yet. "Admiral, we have another fragment," she said, showing him the tablet. "Our deep space listening posts caught pieces of a transmission before it was destroyed. The signal was definitely artificial, and it contained mathematical concepts that suggest a high level of civilization." Hyunwoo looked at the strange symbols and numbers on the screen. For 20 years he had been building Earth's defenses against the unknown dangers that lived among the stars. Every piece of alien communication they found made him more certain that first contact would not be peaceful. The fragments always contained complex technology and references to multiple worlds, which meant humanity was facing an enemy that controlled vast resources. "How many species do you think are out there?" he asked. "Based on the different signal types we have detected, I estimate at least several hundred civilizations." So Young replied. "They seem to communicate with each other regularly, which suggests some kind of alliance or empire. The mathematical concepts in their messages are far beyond what most of our scientists understand." In the depths of space, Council Representative Veltar of the Centauri Federation floated in his ship's meditation chamber. His species did not breathe air like humans, instead absorbing energy directly from specially designed chambers filled with glowing particles. Veltar was worried about the third planet of the Sol system, a world the Galactic Council had been trying to contact for 2 centuries without success. Every message they sent into that system simply disappeared, as if Earth was actively destroying their peaceful communications. The Centauri had been members of the Galactic Council for over 3,000 years. They had helped bring hundreds of species into the peaceful alliance that kept the galaxy safe and prosperous. But Earth remained silent, a mystery that troubled the Council's greatest diplomats. Some species believed the humans were primitive and could not understand the messages. Others thought Earth was dead, destroyed by some natural disaster. A few worried that humanity was hostile and preparing for war. Veltar had studied every piece of data they had collected about Earth. The planet showed clear signs of advanced technology, with artificial satellites and energy signatures that indicated a complex civilization. Human radio transmissions had been detected by Council listening posts, proving that intelligent life existed on the third planet. But why did they never respond to diplomatic contact? Why did every message sent to Earth vanish without explanation? Back on Earth, General Mi Young-sung walked through the construction bays where humanity's secret fleet was being built. She was a shorter woman with sharp eyes and hands that moved quickly when she spoke. The general had spent her entire career preparing for the day when aliens would come to conquer Earth. The ship construction bays were enormous caves carved from solid rock, filled with the sound of welding torches and heavy machinery. Workers, in environmental suits moved between the skeletal frames of warships that would make any alien invasion force think twice about attacking humanity. "How many ships are ready for combat?" she asked the chief engineer, a man named Dong-hyun Yoon, who had designed most of their advanced weapons. "We have completed 843 vessels of various sizes," Dong-hyun replied, wiping oil from his hands with a dirty cloth. "The shipyard teams are finishing 60 more ships every month. By the end of this year, we will have over 1,000 warships ready to defend Earth." The ships were beautiful and terrible at the same time. Each vessel was covered in angular armor plates that could deflect energy weapons, while their hulls contained weapon systems that could crack a moon in half. Human engineers had spent decades studying fragments of alien technology found in meteorites, and crashed objects reverse engineering everything they could understand. The result was a fleet that combined human creativity with mysterious alien science. In another part of the facility, Captain Jin-Ho Lee prepared his stealth reconnaissance ship for another mission into deep space. The vessel was called Invisible Dawn, and it was humanity's greatest achievement in secret technology. The ship could become completely undetectable to any sensor, allowing it to travel through alien space without being discovered. Jin-Ho was a quiet man who rarely smiled, but he was the best pilot Earth had ever produced. His crew trusted him, completely because he had brought them safely through dozens of dangerous missions. "Are you ready for the jump to the Vega system?" asked his tactical officer, a sharp-eyed woman named Yoon-ji Choi. "All systems are green," Jin-Ho replied. "We will observe their shipping lanes for 2 weeks and then return with intelligence data. Remember, we cannot be detected under any circumstances. If even one alien ship sees us, they will know that Earth has advanced space travel technology." The Invisible Dawn launched from a hidden base on the dark side of Earth's moon, its engines producing no heat signature that enemy sensors could detect. The ship accelerated toward the outer system, preparing to jump through hyperspace to worlds where no human had ever traveled. Jin-Ho and his crew did not know that their reconnaissance missions were about to uncover the truth about the galaxy's peaceful nature. Meanwhile, the old satellite defense station Alpha 7 continued its lonely patrol. Another alien transmission approached Earth from the direction of the Pleiades star cluster. This message was different from the others, containing urgent warnings about ancient enemies that moved between the stars like shadows. But the satellite's ancient programming could not tell the difference between a diplomatic greeting and a declaration of war. The particle cannon fired once again, destroying knowledge that might have saved billions of lives. The silence around Earth grew deeper with each destroyed message, and the galaxy began to wonder if humanity would ever join the community of civilized worlds. They did not know that humans were watching them, learning their secrets and preparing for a war that might never come. The greatest misunderstanding in galactic history was about to become the galaxy's salvation, though no one could have predicted such an impossible twist of fate. The Invisible Dawn dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Vega system, its hull shimmering like heat waves as the stealth systems activated. Captain Jin-Ho Lee watched the scanner displays as his ship became completely invisible to any alien sensors. Around him, his crew worked at their stations with the quiet efficiency of people who had done this many times before. They were deep in enemy territory, though they did not yet know that their enemies were actually friends. "Contact bearing 27 Mark IV, reported Yoon-ji Choi from her tactical station. "Large vessel, configuration unknown. It appears to be some kind of cargo ship." Jin-Ho studied the alien vessel through his ship's advanced telescopes. The craft was enormous, easily 10 times larger than any human ship. But it moved slowly and peacefully through space like a whale swimming through deep ocean. Strange symbols covered its hull, and it broadcast signals on multiple frequencies, as if announcing its presence to anyone who might be listening. This was not the behavior of a military vessel preparing for war. "Follow that ship, but keep our distance," Jin-Ho ordered. "I want to see where it goes and what it does." The cargo ship led them to a massive space station that hung in orbit around Vega's 4th planet. The station was a work of art, built from gleaming metals that caught and reflected the light of the star. Hundreds of different ship designs moved around the station like busy insects, loading and unloading cargo from worlds throughout the galaxy. Jin-Ho had never seen so many different alien species in one place, and none of them seemed to be preparing for battle. Engineer Dong-Hyun-Yoon monitored the communications between the alien ships, his computers working to decode their languages and understand their purposes. "Captain, these transmissions are mostly routine shipping schedules and weather reports," he said with confusion in his voice. "They are talking about trade routes and cargo manifests, not military operations." This was troubling news for the human crew. For 20 years they had assumed that the aliens were planning to invade Earth, but everything they observed suggested a peaceful civilization focused on commerce and cooperation. Hyunji recorded everything with her sensors, collecting data that would force Earth's leaders to question everything they believed about the galactic community. On Earth, Dr. So-Young Kim worked in her laboratory deep beneath Terra Base, surrounded by computers that analyzed alien communications around the clock. She had been studying fragments of alien messages for most of her career, trying to understand the languages and cultures of species that lived among the stars. The work was slow and difficult because the defense station kept destroying complete messages before they could reach Earth's listening posts. Her breakthrough came when she realized that the mathematical concepts in the alien fragments were not weapons technology, but rather universal constants that any intelligent species would recognize. The aliens were not sending invasion plans but diplomatic greetings, using mathematics as a common language that could be understood by any civilization capable of space travel. The discovery made her hands shake as she realized the terrible mistake humanity had been making for 2 centuries. "Admiral Park, you need to see this immediately," she said, calling Hyunwoo on the secure communication system. The admiral arrived in her laboratory within minutes, bringing General Mi Young-sung with him. Both military leaders looked tired, from years of preparing for a war that seemed to grow more inevitable with each passing day. They studied So-Young's research with growing amazement and horror as they realized that Earth had been destroying peaceful diplomatic messages for 200 years. "Are you certain about this translation?" Hyunwoo asked, pointing to symbols on her computer screen that clearly meant greeting and friendship in several alien languages. "I have verified these meanings through multiple sources," So-Young replied. "The mathematical concepts they use are universal principles that can only mean peace and cooperation. Admiral, I do not believe these aliens are planning to invade Earth. I think they have been trying to invite us to join some kind of galactic community." In the Vega system, Jin-Ho's ship continued to observe the alien space station, collecting intelligence that would change everything humanity believed about the galaxy. The crew watched cargo ships arrive from dozens of different star systems, each one broadcasting identification codes and shipping schedules on open frequencies. This was not the secretive behavior of a military empire, but the normal operations of a peaceful trading network. "Captain, I am detecting some kind of governing body," reported Yoonji. "The aliens refer to something called the Galactic Council in their transmissions. It appears to be a peaceful alliance that includes hundreds of different species." Dong-Hyun had been analyzing the technical specifications broadcast by alien ships, trying to understand their technology and military capabilities. What he found surprised him more than anything he had ever discovered. "Their ships are designed for cargo transport and scientific exploration," he said. "I can detect only minimal defensive weapons on most vessels. These are not warships built for conquest." Far across the galaxy, Council Representative Veltar received a priority message from the central government on Centauri Prime. The Galactic Council's highest leaders were growing increasingly concerned about Earth's continued silence and the strange disappearance of every diplomatic mission sent to the Sol system. Some species were beginning to suggest that humanity might be hostile, while others wondered if Earth had been destroyed by some natural disaster. Veltar floated in his energy chamber, absorbing nutrients while he considered the problem of the silent planet. His species had successfully contacted over 400 different civilizations during their long membership in the Galactic Council, but Earth remained a complete mystery. The human world showed clear signs of advanced technology, but why did they never respond to peaceful overtures? The Council records showed that Earth had been discovered by a Rigelian exploration ship in the year 1823 by human dating systems. The planet was inhabited by an intelligent species that used radio communications and showed rapid technological development. The Council had been trying to establish diplomatic contact ever since, sending increasingly sophisticated messages that should have been impossible for any spacefaring civilization to ignore. Back on Earth, General Mi Young-sung stood in the command center staring at tactical displays that showed the positions of humanity's secret fleet. Nearly 1,000 warships hung in hidden bases throughout the solar system, ready to defend Earth against an alien invasion that might never come. The ships represented the greatest military buildup in human history, created through decades of sacrifice and fear. "What do we do with this information?" she asked Admiral Hyun-woo. "If Dr. Kim is correct, we have been preparing to fight a war against people who only want to be our friends." The Admiral studied the data from Jin Ho's reconnaissance mission, comparing it with So Young's translations of the alien messages. Everything pointed to the same impossible conclusion. Humanity had completely misunderstood the nature of the galactic community. The aliens were not conquerors but diplomats, not invaders but potential allies. "We continue our preparations," Hyun-woo decided after long consideration. "Even if these aliens are peaceful, there might be other threats in the galaxy that they cannot handle. Our fleet might still be necessary, just not in the way we originally planned." In the Vega system, the Invisible Dawn prepared to return to Earth with intelligence that would force humanity to reconsider everything they believed about their place in the galaxy. Jin-ho ordered his crew to collect as much data as possible about the alien trading network, documenting ship designs and communication protocols that might be useful for future diplomatic contact. "Set course for Earth," he commanded. "Command needs to see this information as soon as possible." The stealth ship jumped back into hyperspace, carrying evidence that would transform humanity's understanding of the galaxy. Behind them, the alien space station continued its peaceful operations, unaware that representatives of Earth had been watching and learning about their civilization. The stage was set for a first contact that would surprise everyone involved, though the greatest surprises were yet to come. Dr. So Young Kim worked through the night, translating more fragments of alien communications and building a database of galactic languages that might be needed for future diplomatic missions. She did not know that her translations were about to become the most important documents in human history, or that the peaceful galaxy she was discovering was about to face a threat that would require all of humanity's military preparations to defeat. Dr. So Young Kim ran through the corridors of Terra Base, her tablet clutched tightly in her hands as she rushed toward Admiral Hyun-woo Park's office. After 3 sleepless days of work, she had finally cracked the alien communication protocols and discovered the truth that would change everything. The hallways were filled with military personnel preparing for a war that might not be necessary, and So Young felt the weight of 200 years of misunderstanding pressing down on her shoulders. She burst through the Admiral's door without knocking, something she had never done before in her 20 years of service. Hyun-woo looked up from his tactical displays with surprise, but the expression on So Young's face told him that whatever she had discovered was more important than military protocol. "Admiral, I have decoded the complete alien communication system," she said, placing her tablet on his desk with hands that shook from exhaustion and excitement. "We have made a terrible mistake. The aliens have been sending us diplomatic invitations for 2 centuries, and our defense station has been destroying every message before it could reach Earth." Hyun-woo studied the translations on So Young's screen, reading invitation after invitation from something called the Galactic Council. The messages were formal but friendly, welcoming humanity to join a peaceful alliance of civilizations that worked together to maintain harmony throughout the galaxy. Each destroyed message had contained maps of trade routes, cultural exchange programs, and scientific cooperation agreements that could have advanced human civilization by thousands of years. "How many messages have we lost?" the Admiral asked, though he was not sure he wanted to know the answer. "I estimate over 15,000 diplomatic communications," So Young replied. "The Galactic Council has been trying to contact us continuously, since the year 1823. They must think we are either dead or deliberately ignoring them." In the Altair system, Captain Tae-jin Kang piloted his reconnaissance fighter through an asteroid field. using the floating rocks as cover while he observed an alien patrol ship. Taejin was humanity's most skilled pilot, a man who could fly through space as naturally as others walked on solid ground. His mission was to test the reaction times of alien vessels and gather intelligence about their defensive capabilities. The alien ship was sleek and beautiful, built from materials that seemed to glow with their own internal light. It moved through space slowly and peacefully, broadcasting identification signals that announced its presence to anyone who might be listening. This was clearly not the behavior of a military patrol, but Taejin had been ordered to assume all alien vessels were potentially hostile. His fighter's sensors detected multiple weapon systems on the alien ship, but they were small defensive units designed to deflect asteroids and space debris rather than combat weapons. The vessel's primary equipment seemed to be scientific instruments and communication arrays, suggesting it was an exploration ship rather than a warship. Taejin moved his fighter closer to get better sensor readings, but his approach vector was slightly off and he drifted too close to the alien vessel's detection range. Alarms began sounding in his cockpit as the alien ship's sensors locked onto his position. For the first time in human history, an alien civilization had detected one of Earth's stealth vessels. Aboard the alien ship, Council Ambassador Thaisara stared at her sensor displays with amazement and confusion. Her species had been members of the Galactic Council for over 1,000 years, and she had never seen technology that could make a ship nearly invisible to their most advanced detection systems. The vessel that had appeared on her sensors was clearly artificial, but its design was unlike anything in the Council's databases. "Send a standard greeting on all frequencies," she ordered her communications officer. "If this is a new species, they might not understand our normal diplomatic protocols." Taejin received the alien transmission and quickly activated his ship's recording systems. The message was obviously a peaceful greeting, broadcast in multiple languages with mathematical concepts that any intelligent species would recognize. But his orders were clear. If detected by alien forces, he was to escape immediately and return to Earth with intelligence about enemy capabilities. The human fighter's engines flared to life, and the vessel accelerated toward the edge of the system at incredible speed. Thaisara watched in amazement as the unknown ship vanished into hyperspace using technology that seemed far more advanced than anything the Council possessed. She immediately sent an emergency message to the Galactic Council headquarters, reporting the first confirmed contact with the mysterious civilization from the Sol system. On Earth, Admiral Hyun-woo faced the most difficult decision of his career. The evidence from Dr. So-young Kim and the intelligence reports from Captain Jin-ho Lee all pointed to the same conclusion. The galactic community was peaceful and had been trying to establish friendly diplomatic relations for 2 centuries. But revealing Earth's massive military buildup to peaceful aliens would create a diplomatic disaster that might take generations to repair. "What do you recommend, Doctor?" he asked So-young, who had become his most trusted advisor on alien affairs. "We must find a way to establish communication without revealing the full extent of our military preparations," she replied. "Perhaps we can claim that our defense station malfunctioned and prevented us from receiving their messages. It is not entirely untrue." General Mi Young-sung entered the office carrying reports from military bases around the world. Human forces were at their highest state of readiness, with nearly 1,000 warships prepared for immediate deployment. The crews were trained and equipped for the largest military operation in human history, but their target might be a peaceful alliance that only wanted friendship. "Our intelligence suggests that the aliens have some kind of central government," Mi Young reported. Captain Jin-ho observed what appears to be a galactic council that includes hundreds of different species. "If we are going to make diplomatic contact, we should probably start with their leadership." At the Galactic Council, headquarters on Centauri Prime, Premier Zolvan called an emergency session to discuss the mysterious encounter in the Altair system. Representatives from hundreds of different species gathered in the Great Assembly Hall, their various forms of communication creating a symphony of sounds and colors that would have amazed any human observer. Ambassador Thaisara presented her report about the unknown vessel. describing technology that seemed to combine stealth capabilities with faster-than-light travel systems that surpassed anything in the Council's possession. The implications were troubling because the ship had clearly been observing Council operations without permission, suggesting either hostile intent or extreme caution on the part of the unknown species. The vessel came from the direction of the Sol system, Thisara explained to the assembled representatives. This is the same system where we have been attempting to establish diplomatic contact for over 200 years. I believe we have finally encountered the civilization from Earth. Militant leader Krexthor rose from his position in the assembly, his multiple arms gesturing aggressively as he spoke in the clicking language of his species. His words were automatically translated for the other representatives. This proves that the Earth species is hostile and has been spying on us while ignoring our peaceful overtures. We should prepare defensive measures immediately. But Elder Mir Dendis, the oldest member of the Galactic Council, disagreed with the militant assessment. Her ancient voice carried the wisdom of someone who had lived through the rise and fall of many civilizations. Perhaps the Earth species is simply cautious, she suggested. A civilization that has been isolated for so long might naturally be suspicious of contact from unknown aliens. Back on Earth, Dr. So-Young Kim worked frantically to prepare humanity's first official message to the Galactic Council. The communication had to acknowledge Earth's long silence without revealing the true reason for the lack of response, while also demonstrating that humanity was ready to join the galactic community as peaceful partners rather than potential threats. We need to be honest but diplomatic, she explained to Admiral Hyunwoo. We can admit that our communication systems prevented us from receiving their messages, and we can express our desire to establish friendly relations. But we must avoid any mention of our military preparations until we understand their true intentions. The message was carefully crafted over several days, with input from linguists, diplomats, and military strategists. The final version expressed humanity's regret for the long delay in responding to galactic diplomatic overtures. While explaining that technical difficulties had prevented proper communication, the message requested a formal meeting between Earth representatives and Galactic Council leadership to establish friendly relations between humanity and the galactic community. Admiral Hyunwoo authorized the transmission of Earth's first official diplomatic message to alien civilizations, knowing that this moment would mark the end of humanity's isolation and the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history. The message was broadcast on frequencies that Dr. So-Young had identified as standard diplomatic channels, using mathematical concepts that any advanced civilization would recognize as signs of intelligence and peaceful intent. The transmission raced across SPA. The Galactic Council's response to Earth's diplomatic message arrived within days, carried by a Council courier ship that appeared at the edge of the solar system, broadcasting friendship signals on all frequencies. Admiral Hyunwoo Park watched from Terra Base as humanity's first official alien visitors approached, his mind filled with worry about how to explain 200 years of military buildup to a peaceful civilization that had only wanted friendship. Ambassador Thisara commanded the Council vessel, bringing with her a diplomatic team that included representatives from 12 different species. Her ship was beautiful and clearly designed for peaceful purposes, with artistic decorations covering its hull and scientific instruments that sparkled like jewels in the sunlight. As the vessel approached Earth, Thisara broadcast continuous greetings in hundreds of languages, hoping to establish communication with the mysterious human civilization. Dr. So-Young Kim stood in the communication center, working with her team to decode the alien diplomatic protocols and prepare humanity's response. The mathematical concepts in the Council's messages were elegant and clearly peaceful, expressing joy at finally establishing contact with Earth and requesting permission to begin formal diplomatic negotiations. But hidden in the background of their transmissions were urgent warnings about something called the Devourer threat. Admiral, there is something else in their communications, So-Young reported, her face pale with concern. They are sending warnings about ancient enemies that they call Devourers. The messages suggest that these creatures have been dormant for thousands of years, but long-range sensors are detecting movement in the void between galaxies. At the same moment, Deep space monitoring stations throughout the galaxy began reporting impossible sensor readings from the darkness beyond the rim. Commander Wu Jin Nam of the Earth Defense Force analyzed the incoming data from his position in the hidden lunar base, using humanity's most advanced detection equipment to study signals that made experienced military officers feel cold with fear. The signatures are massive, Wu Jin reported to Admiral Hyunwoo. Whatever is coming toward the galaxy is larger than anything we have ever detected. The energy patterns suggest biological vessels, but they are the size of small moons, and there are millions of them moving in perfect formation. Captain Hee-Jin Park, Admiral Park's daughter and commander of humanity's newest warship, received emergency orders to prepare her vessel for immediate deployment. The ship was called Iron Thunder, and it represented the peak of human military technology, combining advanced alien science with human engineering creativity. Hee-Jin was a skilled officer who had trained her entire life for the defense of Earth, but she had never imagined that her first combat mission would involve protecting alien worlds. All crew members report to battle stations, she announced, over the ship's communication system. We are facing an unknown threat that requires immediate response. This is not a drill. The Devourer fleet emerged from the void like a plague of living nightmares, their bioships pulsing with organic technology that defied every law of physics the Galactic Council thought they understood. Each vessel was a living creature the size of a city, with armor that could regenerate from damage and weapons that consumed matter itself to fuel their devastating attacks. The creatures had been traveling between galaxies for millions of years, searching for new sources of energy to sustain their endless hunger. Council Tactical Advisor Jex Mirren watched in horror as the first Devourer scouts attacked Outer Rim colonies, consuming entire worlds in a matter of hours. The Council's defensive fleets were designed for peacekeeping operations, not warfare against an enemy that treated planets like food. Their weapons were too weak and their tactics too gentle for the brutal reality of fighting creatures that existed only to devour and destroy. Our conventional forces are completely inadequate, Jex Mirren reported to the Emergency Council session. The Devourer bioships can absorb energy weapon fire and use it to strengthen their own defenses. We need new tactics and more powerful weapons if we are going to survive this invasion. On Earth, Admiral Hyunwoo faced the revelation he had feared and hoped for his entire career. The galaxy's peaceful nature meant that humanity's massive military buildup was unnecessary for defense against galactic neighbors. But the arrival of the Devourers proved that Earth's paranoid preparations were exactly what the galaxy needed to survive. The 1,000 human warships that had been built to fight peaceful aliens would instead defend those same aliens against an ancient evil. Send a message to Ambassador Thisara, Hyunwoo ordered. Tell her that Earth is prepared to assist the Galactic Council against the Devourer threat. We have military assets that may be useful in this conflict. Captain Jin-Ho Lee received orders to take the Invisible Dawn on a reconnaissance mission into Devourer-controlled space, using the ship's stealth technology to gather intelligence about the enemy's capabilities and weaknesses. His crew prepared for the most dangerous mission in human history, knowing that the survival of billions of innocent civilians depended on the information they could gather. Remember that we are no longer just fighting for Earth, Jin-Ho told his crew as they prepared to jump into hyperspace. We are fighting for every peaceful species in the galaxy. These Devourers have turned warfare into an art form, but they have never faced human determination. The first joint human-alien training exercises began in secret facilities throughout the solar system, with Captain Hee-Jin Park working alongside Council Tactical Advisor Jex Mirren to develop new combat strategies. The cultural differences were enormous, with humans preferring aggressive direct attacks while aliens favored defensive formations and careful planning. But both species quickly learned that their combined strengths created possibilities that neither could achieve alone. Your weapons are incredibly powerful, Jex Mirren observed as he studied human military technology. But why did you build such devastating warships if you believed the galaxy was hostile? We prepared for the worst possible scenario, Hee-Jin replied. It turns out that the worst possible scenario was not you, but something much more dangerous that was waiting in the darkness. The Devourer probe attacks began striking the inner rim worlds, testing the galaxy's defenses and gathering intelligence about Council military capabilities. Each attack consumed thousands of lives and left dead worlds in their wake, proving that the ancient enemy was far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Council fleets that had maintained peace for thousands of years were destroyed within minutes of engaging the bioships. Elder Myrdendis called for an emergency meeting of the full Galactic Council, bringing together representatives from nearly 1,000 different species to address the greatest threat their civilization had ever faced. The ancient leader's voice carried desperation as she addressed the assembled delegates, knowing that traditional council methods would not be sufficient to defeat an enemy that consumed worlds for sustenance. "We face extinction," she announced to the gathered representatives. "The Devourers are not conquerors seeking territory or resources. They are a plague that consumes everything in their path and moves on to find new victims. Our peaceful methods cannot stop them." Admiral Hunwu made the decision that would change galactic history forever. Standing before the Emergency Council session via holographic communication, he revealed the true extent of Earth's military preparations and offered humanity's 1,000 warships in defense of the galaxy. The revelation shocked the peaceful aliens, but Elder Myrdendis immediately recognized that Earth's paranoid military buildup was exactly what the galaxy needed to survive. "We accept your offer," she said, her ancient voice filled with gratitude and hope. "Earth will join the Galactic Council as a full member, and humanity will lead our military response against the Devourer invasion." The human fleet began deploying throughout the galaxy, with Admiral Hunwu coordinating the largest military operation in galactic history. Human warships took positions at critical defense points, their advanced weapons and aggressive tactics providing hope for species that had never known the horror of total war. But even as humanity prepared to defend their new galactic allies, deep space sensors detected the main Devourer fleet approaching from the void, a swarm of bioships so vast that it blocked out entire starfields. Commander Wujin Nam studied the sensor readings and calculated the odds of survival for the combined human-alien defense force. The numbers were terrifying, but he had spent his entire career preparing for impossible battles. "Signal all ships," he ordered. "This is what we trained for. Today we show the galaxy what human determination looks like when innocent lives are at stake." The moment that changed galactic history forever began with a single command from Admiral Hunwu Park. Standing in the command center of Terra Base, surrounded by displays showing the positions of humanity's secret fleet, he spoke the words that would reveal Earth's true nature to the galaxy. "All ships decloak now." Across the solar system, 1,000 human warships materialized simultaneously around Earth, their stealth systems shutting down in perfect coordination. The vessels hung in space like a steel constellation, their hulls gleaming with weapon systems that could crack moons and armor that could deflect the energy of stars. Council Ambassador Thaisara watched from her diplomatic ship with amazement and terror, realizing that humanity had been preparing for war on a scale that peaceful civilizations could barely comprehend. The sight of Earth's hidden fleet sent shockwaves throughout the Galactic Council. Species that had assumed humanity was primitive or peaceful suddenly understood that they had been sharing the galaxy with a civilization that possessed military technology centuries ahead of their own. But Elder Myrdendis felt only relief as she studied the human warships, knowing that these vessels represented the galaxy's best hope for survival against the approaching Devourer swarm. Admiral Hunwu addressed the Emergency Council session through holographic communication, his image appearing before representatives of nearly 1,000 alien species. His words were translated into hundreds of languages as he spoke with the authority of someone who had spent his entire life preparing for this moment. "People of the galaxy," he began, "humanity offers our military strength in defense of all peaceful civilizations. We have prepared for 2 centuries because we believed the universe was a dangerous place. We were wrong about you, but we were right about the danger." Colonel Kyung Soo-jang commanded the human fleet's vanguard as it deployed to meet the first wave of Devourer bioships. His tactical display showed enemy vessels the size of cities approaching inhabited worlds, their organic hulls pulsing with hunger as they prepared to consume everything in their path. The human warships moved to intercept, their crews trained for exactly this kind of brutal combat. All ships implement attack pattern Omega, Kyung-Soo ordered. Target their primary feeding organs and maintain maximum distance. These creatures are designed to absorb energy, so we hit them with kinetic weapons and nuclear warheads. The first battle between human forces and the Devourers lasted only minutes, but it proved that Earth's paranoid preparations had created exactly the right tools for fighting an enemy that consumed matter itself. Human kinetic weapons punched through bioship armor that could deflect energy beams, while nuclear missiles created explosions that the creatures could not absorb or redirect. Captain Hyjin Park led her ship Iron Thunder into the heart of the enemy formation, using human combat tactics that prioritize speed and aggression over the careful defensive strategies favored by Council forces. Her crew worked with mechanical precision as they targeted the vital organs of bioships that had never faced opponents willing to sacrifice everything to protect innocent lives. Enemy vessel bearing 270 is attempting to regenerate damage, reported her tactical officer. Recommend immediate follow-up strike with armor-penetrating warheads. Fire everything we have, Hyjin commanded. These creatures feed on entire worlds. We do not give them the chance to heal. Dr. So Young Kim worked frantically in her laboratory, analyzing captured Devourer communications in an attempt to understand their nature and find weaknesses that human forces could exploit. What she discovered changed everything humanity thought they knew about their ancient enemy. The Devourers were not evil conquerors, but desperate refugees, the last survivors of a galaxy that had been consumed by something even more terrible. Admiral, I have translated their primary communication frequencies, she reported to Hyunwoo. The Devourers are not invading our galaxy by choice. They are running from something that destroyed their entire home galaxy millions of years ago. Their hunger is not malice but desperation. This revelation reached Captain Jin-Ho Lee as his stealth ship, Invisible Dawn, penetrated deep into the Devourer fleet, using human cloaking technology to reach the heart of their formation. His mission was to gather intelligence about enemy command structures, but what he found was a massive bioship that pulsed with pain and exhaustion rather than aggression. I am detecting massive energy signatures from the fleet center, reported Tactical Officer Yoon-ji Choi. It appears to be some kind of central consciousness that controls the entire swarm. Captain, I think these creatures are trying to communicate with us. The breakthrough came when Dr. So Young established communication with the Devourer central consciousness, using mathematical concepts that transcended species barriers. The ancient entity that controlled millions of bioships was dying, after eons of flight from an interdimensional threat that pursued them across the void between galaxies. We seek only sustenance to continue our flight, the Devourer consciousness transmitted in patterns of pure mathematics. The darkness follows us, consuming all light and life in its path. We did not wish to harm your young civilizations, but hunger drives us to desperation. Admiral Hyunwoo faced the most important decision in galactic history as he learned the truth about the Devourer invasion. The ancient bioships were not conquering the galaxy, but fleeing from something infinitely worse. A force from outside normal spacetime that consumed entire galaxies and left nothing but empty void in its wake. The Devourers had been trying to gather enough energy to continue their eternal flight, but their arrival had doomed the galaxy by revealing its location to their cosmic pursuer. Signal all human and council forces to cease offensive operations, Hyunwoo ordered. We are not fighting an invasion, we are witnessing a refugee crisis on a galactic scale. Elder Miradendis convened an emergency session of the Galactic Council as long-range sensors detected something approaching from intergalactic space that defied every law of physics. The darkness that had pursued the Devourers across millions of years was finally arriving, drawn by the energy signatures of their desperate flight. This entity existed partially outside normal spacetime, consuming matter and energy while leaving behind regions where the fundamental forces of nature simply ceased to exist. Captain Hyjin Park found herself commanding a joint human-alien Devourer fleet as the three civilizations united against a threat that none could face alone. Her ship Iron Thunder led formations that included Council peacekeeping vessels and massive Devourer bioships, their combined firepower representing the galaxy's last hope for survival. The darkness feeds on division and fear, transmitted the devourer consciousness to the combined fleet. Only unity of purpose can create weapons that function in its presence. Your species possess something we lost long ago, the ability to hope. The final battle took place at the galaxy's edge, where human determination combined with alien wisdom and devourer desperation to create new forms of warfare that could function against an enemy from outside normal reality. Admiral Hyun-woo coordinated the defense from Terra Base, while his daughter led the fighting fleet, using tactics that no single species could have developed alone. Colonel Kyung-soo Jang discovered that human nuclear weapons could create stable energy fields when combined with devourer biotechnology and Council defensive systems. The resulting hybrid weapons could damage entities that existed partially outside space-time, giving the combined fleet tools that could actually harm the darkness. All ships target the convergence points where the enemy interfaces with normal space, Kyung-soo ordered. We cannot destroy it completely, but we can force it back into the void between galaxies. The battle raged for days as three civilizations fought desperately to save not just their own galaxy, but all possible futures where life and light could exist. Captain Jin-Ho Lee used his stealth technology to plant hybrid weapons at critical points in the darkness's manifestation, while Dr. So-Young Kim coordinated communications between species that had never imagined they could work together. The victory came not through destruction, but through sacrifice and unity. The Devourer bioships gave their remaining life energy to power weapons that could wound the darkness, while human crews volunteered for missions that had no possibility of survival. Council ships provided the precision and coordination needed to focus the combined firepower on targets that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Admiral Hyun-woo watched from Terra Base as the darkness retreated into the void between galaxies, wounded but not destroyed, carrying with it the knowledge that this galaxy was defended by beings willing to sacrifice everything for others they had never met. The threat would return someday, but the galaxy now had guardians who would be ready. The aftermath of the battle saw humanity taking its place as the military backbone of a transformed galactic council. Earth's 1,000 warships became the foundation of a new kind of alliance, one prepared for threats that peaceful civilizations had never imagined possible. Admiral Hyun-woo became the first human council member, while his daughter, Captain Hai-Jin Park, led the newly formed Joint Defense Fleet. The galaxy had learned that isolation breeds strength, that paranoia can become wisdom,